Hey everyone, a question that has come up over and over again over the recent years: what it's actually like owning a Jeep Gladiator, or would I recommend buying one? Or actually, this question's come up a variety of different ways, and most recently, just a few days ago, from a good friend of mine, and reminded me that I've been wanting to do this video for a while. Many of you know I've owned past tense, a 2020 Gladiator Rubicon for 4 years. Now, again, I recently sold it. I got something new in the works, but before I close that chapter, I wanted to share exactly what I liked, what I didn't like, what broke, what mods I did, and whether or not I would buy one again. So taking this opportunity to answer quite a handful of the questions that you folks have asked over the years. So let's jump in. Now, first off, the Gladiator, look, it's a plain simple, it's a go everywhere truck. It's basically a Wrangler with a pickup bed, which means you get that iconic Jeep open air freedom, but you can haul gear, tow a trailer, or pack things up for overlanding camping or your Home Depot trips. If you love exploring and need to haul stuff, the Gladiator, it's the way to go. It's kind of a dream come true for Jeep enthusiasts. All right, before we go diving into things that I liked, didn't like, broke, and what I recommend, let me take this opportunity to address another one of those common questions that kind of piggybacks on top of this here. What were some of the first mods that I did to the truck itself? And that was easy. It was 35-inch Nitto trail grapplers on black Rhino Armory wheels. I thought this really, it woke up the truck. It instantly transformed it. Now, but it also amplified how sloppy it felt on the road from the factory. The body roll I thought was bad. The steering felt floaty. It just didn't feel stable. So I fixed that. I swapped the suspension out with TerraFlex Falcon 3.3 shocks, added Core 4x4 control arm set, and a TerraFlex Falcon steering stabilizer, and a Synergy manufacturing front track bar and sector shaft brace. Now, these changes, it was a night and day difference. There was just, at least with the 2020s, there was a number of things that I just felt Jeep could have done a little bit better. And playing around with the suspension here, it really did. Well, there was no more wandering or boat-like feel. If you're lifting a Gladiator, do the suspension right. Trust me on that. Now, I will say this, around year number 3, I completely redid the suspension with a complete Icon Stage 7, and I also moved from the 35s up to 37-inch Interco IROC tires, and that was a big jump right there. This was really what the doctor ordered out ultimately at the end of the day, with one exception. So if you plan on putting a lot of weight in the back for towing and so forth, I would recommend, I felt the Icon shocks in the back, it was just a little soft. So if you're planning to tow or put a lot of stuff in the back of the Gladiator, you're going to want to go with some heavy duty shocks in the back. Now from there, I went, again, I'm going back to the first mods there. I went full trail ready with this thing here. Starting off on the front of the truck, I added a Rebel off-road steel front bumper, slapped a Warren 12,000 pound winch in there, KC lights, and lots of them all over the place, and Maximus 3 roof rack. Yeah, I drilled the 8 holes in the roof for that. Measure 4 times, drill once, no regrets. It looked badass and it was really functional, so I was able to keep water, fuel containers up on the top. There was a jack up there. There was all sorts of stuff on the roof. It really worked out well. Now on the back of it, I put a RDL. What did you say? Design topper, which before putting it on there, I did have it sprayed with Linux for some added durability. Now, what I will say or make recommendations here, if you have young kids or you're vertically challenged, I 100% recommend the Rockslide Engineering. They have a Gen 3, I think they're up to now, step sliders. These things are awesome. You open up the doors, the steps automatically go down, makes getting in and out so much easier. It's a game changer for family trips. Now, let's talk about performance. Now, the 2 mods that I would say that really woke up the truck for me was Regearing from 411s to 488s with Rebel Off-Road did that. I want to say it was like $1,900. Also adding a EBC X Throttle controller. Now combined, there was a big difference here. The throttle was so much more responsive and those bigger tires felt really at home. All right, now let's talk about the elephant in the room. Let's talk about MPGs. This thing, first off, friends, it's not a Prius. You know, when I was towing my trailer, 8 to 9 miles per gallon, no joke. Without the trailer, around 13 or so. So fuel efficiency is your top priority. Well, you're gonna want to keep walking here, especially if you add mods to it, which actually it goes to say with any vehicle. You start slapping on big wheels, adding weight, changing gears. Yeah, the fuel efficiency is bound to change. And it's not going to go in the direction that you want it to do. Now, let's jump inside the vehicle. There wasn't surprisingly a lot of interior mods that I did to this here, but one mod that I will bring up here that was just absolutely amazing. So the Jeep, one of the things I really admired about the fit and finish on the interior, it felt a little sporty because of the size of the Jeep and so forth. But on long trips, I had always had a nerve pinch or pain in my right leg here. What fixed it for me, hands down, was the Desert Dozen seat jackers. These things, I think they're like 80 or $100. All you do is it pitches up the front end of the seat. You have these little wedges that you put underneath there. So for long trips, it was a huge comfort boost. Simple, but effective. Other than that, I had a Stinger stereo put in there, MB Cord speakers, and other than that, not really much. 67 designs geared to hold my iPad and whatever else that I needed to, on the dash and so forth. Now, let's talk about problems. Boy, knock on wood, I didn't have really much issues with the truck. Not many at all. Now, one time the truck went into limp mode, and that was relating to, it was giving me throttle body errors. This turned out it was from one of the old tuners that I had installed. Pulled the tuner, well, the issues were gone. On another trip, I was out in Sedona. I got a sway bar disconnect error and a 4x4 error that came up. Ended up finishing the trip in two-wheel drive and airing. This is a testament to airing down. Those Nittos that I had did the trick in two-wheel drive. But the culprit with all of this here was a bad wire connection, which ended up being a very simple and easy fix at the dealership. Other than that, zero major problems with, I traded in with a 30, or not traded in, I sold it with 38,000 miles on it. So for a Jeep, I thought that was pretty solid. All right, let's be real. It's not a perfect vehicle, and depending upon where your preferences or your tolerances are with how you're driving and so forth, there are going to be things that you're going to notice in a Jeep that you wouldn't notice in a vehicle. One of them, again, this is one of those questions that does come up. One of them, I have to say, wind noise. Wind noise at highway speeds, yeah, you're driving a brick. Add on a bunch of lights, it actually gets worse. Add those big mud tires down below, yeah, you're gonna hear this stuff. Now you can eliminate, well, not eliminate, you can lessen the road noise a little bit by putting lifting the carpet up in there and putting insulation or sound blocking. That's going to cut it down a little bit, but again, you're an off-road vehicle, you're going to have to get used to it. The ride, while better with mods, still felt stiff and solid axially, which is exactly what you expect in a Jeep. In stock, honestly, in my opinion, and again, it's funny that we're talking about this right now because I was just chatting with a friend who's considering getting a Jeep here just a few days ago, which again reminded me about doing this video. Anyways, in my opinion, I think it's one of the ugliest trucks from the factory, but give it a lift. Big tires, good wheels, and it's like unleashing the beast. It looks absolutely badass. The Ford Bronco, another example of this. I think another truck that looks just silly, off the lot. But as soon as you add some big wheels, add a little lift to it, and boy, it really transforms it. Now, another thing that I would say I felt it was underpowered. This has the 3.6 liter Pentastar V6. It's standard in all trims, puts out about 285 horsepower at 6,400 RPMs, 260 pounds of torque. Now I do know they have the diesel motor as well that came out after. We're talking about a 2020. So at 2020, when I picked this up, the only available motor was the V6 here. So on paper, it's not terrible, but when you compare it to the competition, it starts to show its age. You know, for example, let's jump forward. Look at the Chevy Colorado ZR2. It's got a smaller 2.7 liter turbo 4-cylinder, but it cranks out 310 horsepower, 430 pounds of torque. Or the new Toyota Tacoma. Also, it's a 2.4 liter turbo. That's 278 and 317 pounds of torque, or up to, if you get the hybrid portion of it, I think it's like 465. Now, so the smaller motors, they deliver more power and way more torque, and the torque is where you feel it when you're towing, climbing, or passing. Now the Gladiator's V6 just feels a little underwhelming unless you regear or add the throttle body controller, which I did, but out of the box, you definitely notice it. Now, one thing I will share with you, which I came close to picking up a couple times, was a Magnuson Supercharger for it. You slap on that, if you want to stick with the stock motor in there, that will crank that up to like 430 horsepower or 380 pounds of torque at the crank. So this is a very respectable jump in numbers if you don't want to do like a 392 swap and want to keep your stock motor, which is a great option for more power. So at the end of the day, would I recommend a Gladiator? So if you really want off-road capability, a truck bed, open air driving, and don't mind modding it to get it dialed in, a Gladiator Rubicon or a Gladiator is tough to beat. It's not the best at one thing, but it's good at everything an adventure truck should do. So just don't expect it to be quiet, cushiony daily driver. It's a Jeep. It's built to get dirty, haul gear, and get you places that other trucks simply cannot go. So that's my honest take after 4 years and nearly 40,000 miles. Friends, and that's all I got here for you. I hope this, if you're on the fence with picking up one of these, I hope this helps you out. If you can, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any videos in the future. And if you have any questions, drop some comments down below. I'd love to hear what you're planning for yours. As always, thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video.